Here's a quick video for Honda Jazz lovers. Okay, there's a massive issue if you want to change the alternator. There's a big long convoluted process about moving this piece here and then adjusting stuff in here, moving this out the way, and then getting like a really long socket wrench or socket set that goes from all the way over here with an elbow to get to this bolt that's right down here that you can't get to, and you either have to do it from the top or you do it from the bottom underneath, scrabbling around. I did it that way in the winter, cut me knuckles loads, multiple cups of tea, had to go away in a rage, calm down. Here I am in the summertime. I've found a better way, and that is just to remove the bumper and remove the front sort of bumper superstructure, which then allows you to wiggle the air conditioning out the way, disconnect the fan, and all of a sudden you've got magical access to that hard to reach bolt just through the front. Now I've got the car up on ramps obviously, but you could do it on axle stands, you could even do it on wheels. You can still get underneath to release the bumper, and then by the time you've wiggled the air conditioning, fan and cooler out the way, you can get right to that bolt just there. And believe me, if you're thinking it's a longer process to remove the bumper and to remove the superstructure with just 4 bolts there than it is to wiggle around with a sort of like super extended socket set, well, if that's the way you want to do it, you can do it that way. I recommend this way. So as you can see, the alternator that was there before has been removed. So that is the control socket. That's the part of the electrical connection. This is the kind of the stub that the alternator has to fit onto, and this is the direction that people have been recommending to reach that bolt, to turn it through this sort of like this part, by flopping out the air conditioning radiator and fan. It gives you access, much easier access to here. So I'm going to leave the belt on, and then I'm going to refit the alternator now, and obviously the removal of that is the opposite of fitting it. So fitted the electrical connection here, and there's like a sort of a rubber pop thing that goes over the top that keeps it watertight. There's this switch down here, it'll only fit one way. It's not a switch size, this connector, it'll only fit one way, and it just goes on like so. Okay, and now it's a case of maneuvering this so that it's sitting on this part here. So I'm going to stop and then get to that stage. So you can see it took a bit of persuasion to get these onto this thing here. So I was hitting it from the top with a block of wood and then a hammer hitting the block of wood. But you can see it's so much easier to access this bolt using this method. Okay, and to get the belt on, basically all you're doing is you push this forward as far as it'll go. It'll pivot on this bolt here, but push it as forward as far as you can, and then it's a question of sliding the belt on. So once I've got the belt on, it's a good idea to just move the alternator sort of wheel towards you at the front, and then that way you can see if everything is on the other wheels. It helps actually if you do it from the top. So I've got the second bolt on now. That's that bolt just there. Okay, just going to tighten that bolt up now, tighten this up a bit, and then tighten the one up at the bottom at the same time. Here we go. So maybe it's not very clear, but you can see I'm moving the wheel with my finger there, the alternator wheel. belt wheel, drive wheel, just to make sure that everything is sitting on, and I'm checking all the wheels down below, all the feeder wheels and so on, just to make sure there's no tangle. Now I'll attach the second bolt. So I've got that bolt on now. It's that one just there, you can't really see it, but anyway, it's a 12 millimeter bolt. It takes forever, actually. The reason it takes so long is there's not really much room to rotate the socket wrench thing. So basically you just stop when you can see the threads come out the other side. Yeah, so you can see that's not that one there. See the threads just poking through the other side. That's when you can stop. Okay, it's pretty secure. And then once you've done that, then you're done. Before you actually tighten this bolt though, it should be quite clear. I didn't mention it before. Basically, you move this kind of adjuster bolt so that the belt is tight, and once this is in position, then you tighten that bolt there that goes through to the correct location. So this one at the bottom is already tightened. Then you're tightening this one to get it in the correct position, so there's enough tension on the belt. And then finally the bolt that goes through there that you see the tip of the end of there, that's the last bolt that you're tightening up. Next stage, I'm basically just putting this cable back around the outside of the fan, connecting up this fan to this section here, and then relocating this unit in to the gap here. And then there's a couple of brackets that hold it in place. This is in place now. So when you're wiggling this into place, there's a couple of things. So there's a sort of like a peg that sticks out the bottom there. That needs to go into this sort of like rubberized housing, and there's kind of like a little sort of indentation at the bottom there that this sits into. Now the next stage is there's a couple of brackets that sit on the top here that just hold this in place and stop it wobbling around. I'll put those on now. So these are the two brackets that sit on top of the aircon radiator to hold it in place. I'll put one in place and then show you. One on this side, basically this is the slightly larger one that sits over the top, and you can see it sort of comes round and it sort of like hooks. I don't know if it's very clear, as the sun's quite bright. So it hooks in the back there, and then there's a bolt that goes through that secures it there. So now with those two fixings secure, there'll still be a bit of movement. Obviously it helps vibrations, make sure that the radiator doesn't shatter and stuff. But that's it secured now. So the next thing is to attach the structural front bumper across. So here's the I guess you call it the front bumper structure support. That's fitted now. We've got 4 12mm bolts there. They're on. The next thing to do is to put the plastic fairing bumper on. I found the best way to do that is to hang it from the front first, secure underneath, and then finally sort of like slot it in around the lights. So I'll do that now. So underneath the bumper there's all sorts of like little sort of weird connections and stuff like that. Quite a few of the ones on here have just gone missing. There's one there's a screw that's supposed to be through there, but it's kind of it's gone, so I fastened that one with a cable tie. But this one here, this is with a some kind of like plastic sort of like press-stud thing that goes through. So I've got a big box of them here. Basically, if you got like a late 90s or early noughties car, you're going to have a big box of these because you're always going to be taking bits off to fix the damn thing. So I got this off eBay. There's multiple sizes here, and it's these kind of little sort of like press-stud things that go up and they secure it in place. So now that you've got it fixed underneath at the bottom, it's just the question of putting these fittings into these holes, stamping them down, or pushing them down, not stamping them. Slot them in like that, push it down, secured in place. Do that across all four. Those clips are in now, and then we're just pushing the plastic so it clips in around the lights, like so. And then lastly, there's a couple of screws, one on each side, and they go in the most hard to reach space, which is, there's a little slot up here, and you need to angle the screwdriver in the right way. It's the ice cold in Alex. A few things I'd recommend: wearing gloves. You don't want to smash or rash up your knuckles. Wear gloves. Today was really hot outside. You saw I had shorts and Crocs on. Still, wear gloves. Second thing is, if you're doing any work on a car, you should always disconnect the battery. Third thing, you didn't see it, but I tested the alternator by turning the engine over. You're listening out for a squeaky belt, anything like that. If you have got a squeaky belt, then you just need to adjust the belt tensioner, tightener. Good luck.